Hello, friends. Welcome to another edition of Come to Papa. I'm Tom Papa, and my guest today is the lovely comedian Jim Norton.
Yes.
Jim is a well-respected and diverse comedian, one of those rare comics who can cross over from doing correspondent work for The Tonight Show as well as recording 2 stand-up specials for HBO. Jim is well known as one of the hosts of Opie and Anthony Show right here on Sirius XM, and he's known among fans and comedians alike as being truly prolific. Jim is also the author of 2 best-selling books, Happy Endings, The Tales of a Meaty-Breasted Zilch, and I Hate Your Guts. His most recent album, Despicable, is available now, and in my opinion, is some of his best work.
Thank you.
When you were recording that album, Jimmy, and you start to kind of feel all of the different comedians who have influenced you throughout your career and your life, how high up on the list am I?
You're kind of like the benchmark for all of us.
Right.
Like saying Tom Papa, it's almost like when you say Pryor. Everybody says Pryor. Who's your favorite comic?
Right.
Pryor.
Pryor.
After a while, you don't even want to say Pryor anymore because everybody has said it.
Right.
So when people say to me today, like, who influences you, who, dare I say, inspires me?
Right.
Tom Papa is the go-to, but it's not just for me, it's for so many guys. So I almost pretend that you don't exist. But I mean, everybody knows Tom Papa, so a lot of times people will say, do you like Tom Papa? And I'll go, who? Oh yeah, he's shit. But I don't mean it.
Right, I understand that. I understand that completely.
Yeah,
it's
you're
almost
very
like,
high on my list.
Like too many people actually say it, like the Pryor thing. I could see that.
But I will say this for Tom. We were watching the other night, The Cellar you were. I forget who I was talking to. It might have been Keith. But you were killing, and you kill really hard as a clean comic.
Right.
But it's not cutesy clean. It doesn't feel like integrity has been compromised for the sake of clean. It's just like, this is this guy's act, this is what he does.
Right.
And that's why I like what you do, because I never feel like, oh, he's trying to get on TV. It's always and that's why I think you kill with the force that you do.
Oh, I thank you very much. You know what? Now, you do not work clean.
Occasionally I will. Occasionally.
I mean, but that's the thing, like I was saying in your intro.
Yeah.
You really have that ability to go on to The Tonight Show, which I used to do some of that correspondent work also, and you know you have to be clean. Not only do you have to be clean, the reason they're bringing you back all the time is because their audiences are responding to you. They like that. They like you. They like seeing you, and there's that kind of comfort having you on the show, which a lot of comics who work really edgy could not pull off.
Well, I made myself, there was a point where I went almost a year where I made myself not curse on stage. Yeah. And it's because, again, Pryor did The Tonight Show. Carlin did The Tonight Show. These guys did Ed Sullivan.
Right.
It's, to me, in my live club act, like I'm working on material now, I'm doing stuff about Bin Laden's death and also Schwarzenegger and Anthony Weiner. And I try to be conscious of not just making it dirty. Like, the dirty stuff I can always write. Like, with Arnold and the maid, of course I go into why I'd rather have sex with the fat maid than Maria Shriver. But I try to make whatever point I want to make first, because I know the big laugh with the dirty shit's going to come.
Right.
I just don't want everything to be geared towards that, because then it's much harder for me to make something dirty than it is to make something clean. So I try to start with it clean, make it strong, and then I can expand on it.
What do you mean it's harder to make it dirty than to make it...
I mean, it's harder to make it clean than dirty.
Right.
I'm sorry if I said that wrong.
Yeah.
Much easier to make it dirty. I apologize.
Right.
Taking something filthy and cleaning it up is harder.
Yes. You can never actually do it. It's never going to have the potency. Like, if I spit something out that is a little dirty, and then and I bring it back and try and clean it up, every time you tell that joke, you kind of wish you were doing the dirty version.
Because you know the power of the laugh that comes with it. But in my club act, I won't sacrifice that. Like, I'm doing a thing now, an opening thing about just how women get mad when you mistake them for prostitutes, but it's actually a compliment. And the line is, and I'm not believing doing my act for you.
No, I love it.
The line is, it's quite a compliment, because in a way you're going, hey, not for nothing, but if it was an option, I'd pay to fuck you. And that's, fuck you is a dirty thing, but it doesn't work as well if it's, I'd pay to sleep with you is not as strong.
Right.
So.
But see, that's so frustrating, because to me, I feel like, I was saying the other night, I was walking through Washington Square Park on my way to go do a set, and everybody, every other, passing these conversations as you walk through the park. It was a busy summer night, and everybody is dropping F-bombs, from little kids to old ladies to the hippies to everybody. And it's almost like it's lost its shock value.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It doesn't have like the potency. I remember Carlin saying that, you use it as a almost like as a device. Like comedy is, you're using, best comedy will shock you and surprise you.
Yeah.
And that word enables you to do that.
Sure.
But now it seems like it's so pervasive, it's so part of the culture that you would think it wouldn't have that potency anymore.
Well, it really is ridiculous for that language to still be shocking, because to me, you don't need profanity to be offensive or to be powerful. You know what I mean? It's like, it's FCC cleanliness. You could say, why don't you die in a bus fire? Like, that's a really graphic, awful thing to say, but it's not dirty.
Right.
So to me, I never find shock value. Like, I'm never shocked by comedy.
Right.
Because I've watched beheading videos. Like, and I watched 9/11. And to me, that stuff is like, it's not 1950 anymore where a comedian says shocks me.
Yeah. Right.
I think things are funny if they're original.
Yeah.
Like, Colin's my favorite guy working, and he's not dirty at all.
No, you're right. I always find like the guys who, in my opinion, it's such a thing, clean or dirty, and it really is kind of like a blurred line, because it really doesn't matter. Because for me, it's always the guys, and you are one of the prime examples of this, it's if you're delivering a new thought. Like just the thing you said about I'd rather sleep with the fat maid than with Maria Shriver. It's like that's a thought that not everybody else is going to bring up to the stage. Right. And if it's dirty or clean, it doesn't matter to me if it's new. If somebody gets up and is just dirty and it's like, oh, I've heard this dick joke so many times, that is just more offensive.
I couldn't agree more. It's a matter of being truthful and a matter of being honest about the way you feel. It doesn't mean being right or wrong.
Right.
I'm bat 500 like every other dope in this country.
Right.
Half the times I'm right, half the times I'm wrong. It's about being truthful about what your emotions are and how you feel.
Right.
And if it's original, that's all you can ask for. There's no valor in cleanliness. There's no valor in being dirty. Only in being kind of true to what makes you funny.
And that seems like it resonates in your act, because like you seem like when you do dirty stuff, which like is sexual oriented stuff, you know that there's watching you, that's not an act. That's not a guy up there just saying these jokes, like, because you really kind of, that's your perspective. You kind of seem to live that every day.
Yeah, and I don't like, you know what it is, if you're comfortable with it, sometimes they will be, sometimes they won't be. But I did Fitzsimmons' podcast, which was live at Caroline's, and they're not my fans. A lot of them are there to see Greg. All of them there to see Greg. Yeah. And we were talking about the sex stuff, and he was asking me about the hookers. And I'm just very honest about it. And I think the audience can sense when you're not going to apologize to them. Like, I'm not up here telling you this stuff hoping you agree with it. Right. I don't need you to agree with it. And I think when it's almost like a hot girl. Yeah. When you ignore her, she comes around. And with the audience, you don't ignore them, but you don't apologize or ask them, please, guys.
Please like me.
I like to cut off their exits. I've always enjoyed doing that, which is, I know what's coming in 10 minutes. So I like to close off their exit, their escape routes. I like
What do you mean?
I don't like to give them wrong. Crowds will back out on offensive stuff, or offensive thoughts, if you allow it, because they want their neighbor to see that they're good people. But if you cut it off by at first talking about how much you hate people who are offended by humor, how silly it is to be offended, or this phoniness we have in language, and they're all on board, then by the time you hit them with it, they're like, well, we're kind of committed to this. They cannot back out.
Oh, interesting.
But I used to always talk about that, don't you hate people who you work with who are offended by humor, because you know they're just making it about themselves and people are laughing and clapping and they're agreeing with you. So now, all right, we're all in this together. And then I hit them with thoughts about race or whatever, and they're like, well, we just kind of agreed.
Wow, that's really pretty brilliant. Do you do that often, or just like when you run into a crowd that you know is not your people?
It was the way I built my act. It was the way I always did it, because I always felt they're being offended is phony. It's so how do you stop them from displaying this phony shit? Because they're displaying this phony thing. It affects me on stage. Right. Because they go, oh. Yeah. And here's my options. I can attack them for being phony. Like, that, you don't mean that. Right. You watch pornography. Or I can just seal off the doors so they can't do that.
That's pretty great.
And I've always, or for I guess the last 10 or 12 years, I made a conscious effort to do that because I like them feeling trapped in the room, metaphorically, without giving them a chance to back out.
Do you still do it? You do it pretty regularly?
I don't need to make it as obvious as I used to about being offended at humor and all that stuff.
You can just drop it in and
yeah. And it's just an attitude that you display with them.
Right.
It's like when I'm talking about whether it's seeing the photos. I'm tired of Americans feeling like we have to take the high road. You make these little momentary statements before, and I think they all feel that way too. And then they're like, yeah, and then you hit them with the thought, whatever it is.
Right.
And it's not selling it to them. I get so angry when they back out because I know that they're full of shit when they do it.
Right. And you think that's just because they're going through an adjustment from their real life into this nightclub kind of a thing?
It's people.
They're not used to.
They want to show laughter is, I guess, in people's minds an admission. So, like when I watch Paul Mooney, I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but I laugh.
Right.
I don't need to agree to laugh.
Right.
But they're not comedians, so they're out there with a date or with their neighbors, and they hear you say something about race or how you hate the way the media lies about race or whatever it is, and that's a hard thought for them to go, yeah.
Right.
So they go, oh. Well, you say so and so is a pig, whatever you say, and they, oh, really? Is it or is it you want your neighbor to go, hey, that's not me talking?
Right.
So
don't you feel also there's sometimes when you if someone really hits you with something that you haven't thought about, you'll give a and it's almost like you're not judging, you're not saying that's bad, you're just you know what I mean?
Yes, and I think as comedians we know the difference. It's like when somebody heckles you.
Right.
You immediately look in there, you know immediately what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like if a guy goes, hey, he's either trying to be funny because he wants to have fun.
Right.
He resents the fact that I'm up here and he's trying to fuck me up, and that's when you cut their throats.
Right.
Or he's drunk. You immediately make an assessment.
Yeah.
And I think you can make that same assessment when somebody goes, you
can tell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's with me, or he's really
with me,
pretending to be offended.
That was an outrageous thought, and he's kind of with me and going like, whoa. And then you can play with it and have fun. Like, when they grown, I'm doing a line about Maria Shriver.
Right.
And I'm saying because she had to come out and make a statement. This is after Arnold cheated. Like, I'm shocked and appalled that my husband would behave exactly like every other male in my family. Right. And a lot of times the crowd's like, oh. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to break it to you that the Kennedys fucked a lot of chicks.
Right.
I know they're groaning as a reaction. They don't even know why they're groaning because the truth of it is her whole family has done nothing but fuck women.
Right.
But I don't scold them angrily because every crowd gives the same reaction.
Right.
So
it's almost...
I guess they feel like I'm picking on a victim in a way. So I kind of have built a joke in to scold them. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Like I'm shitting on them for groaning, but I put in a joke for them, and then we move on.
Right. But that one almost seems like it's such a surprise. It's a new thought that's such a surprise that if every audience is going, oh, it's like you've just exposed something that nobody else has exposed, and they're hearing it for the first time.
Or they're just not sure that Maria Shriver is a Kennedy. Like, I don't know if they immediately make that connection, so that's why I immediately say after, I'm sorry, I've exposed the Kennedys fucked a lot of chicks. And I like to almost make them feel stupid for not knowing that she's a Kennedy. Like, you just groaned at that, you fucking dumbbells.
That's probably it. They're probably just groaning like it's
like I'm attacking her family for no reason.
Mom and dad, and they don't know who it is. It's just a mom and a dad.
Yeah, but I don't want to explain it to them beforehand because then I feel like it's like I'm not talking to children. You guys should kind of know that.
You're listening to Come to Papa on Raw Dog Channel 99 with my pal Jim Norton. In the beginning you were saying it's harder to do it's come up with a clean thing, and like in the back that it'll be easier to like get them to laugh at something dirty.
Sure.
Why is it easier, and why is it so much more fun? You know what I mean?
It's what's naughty. It's what's inappropriate. It's the same feeling you got when you saw Playboy when you were 12. It's the taboo of it.
Right.
And again, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I say a lot of the taboos have changed.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not as much sex anymore. I think because I'm also admitting my own sexual stuff. They go with it because I'm not asking you to approve. Again, this is my life.
Right.
The taboo subjects are no longer Like I have no problem people making fun of the church or the Pope. Fuck them. Go ahead, have fun.
Right.
But it's not 1958.
Right.
That's not necessarily the act of rebellion. You're not just speaking truth to power when you make fun of the church. Who gives a shit?
Right.
Father Guido Sarducci parodied a priest.
Right.
Islam is much more taboo. Race is very taboo.
Yeah.
To address, and it's not taboo for black people. It's taboo for white people because again, laughter is an admission, and they don't want to admit that sometimes they're annoyed at black people.
Yeah.
Black people admit that. They're much more honest about race.
Yes.
Like when you talk about it, black people are usually with you.
Right.
It's the white people in the crowd who are harboring racial secrets that rebel and go, we don't see color. And black people are going, of course you do.
Right.
Of course you do. So the taboos have changed. Whereas in 1960, if you made fun of black people, that was totally acceptable to an audience.
Right.
Whereas now that has become the taboo.
You know, I always go back and forth with this in my little head about political correctness. It's like because there is something. Part of my little head says, well, there is something to political correctness in that, you know, kids aren't called faggots, or the N-word, or you know what I mean. There's like, and then the other part of my head is like, yeah, but that's kind of a bogus way of doing it. It's like a Southern person just being like overly mannerly and being like, oh, I sure do, you know, yeah, okay, and you know they don't mean it, but they're just socially getting through the day. You know what I mean? And it's almost like if you. So I don't know if political correctness helps in some regard because the kid isn't being called a faggot, or is it better that people are honest and just that would really genuinely help us progress?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think as much as I despise political correctness, I do think that a lot of it is well-intentioned. I think people do want to be nice and they don't want to hurt your feelings. Right. But like everything else, people go overboard with it. And it's like not keeping score in sports. It is this inability of people who are our age to deal with losing or coming in second.
Yeah.
So they don't know how to teach their kids to come in second or lose. So they say no score whatsoever. And then meanwhile, then college students, if you notice, are leaping out the fucking window because they've never been told they weren't good enough.
Right.
They've never come in second.
Yeah.
So they don't know how to handle failure. Yep. It's like the point of, hey, you shouldn't say to a black guy the word nigger because it's a vile word.
Right.
But there's a social justice to that. He's going to knock your teeth out for it.
Right.
But we say that you can't say it. You can't say it. You can't say retard. We mandate it, and we legislate morality, and that to me is when it gets people start to hate it. When you're just being genuine about it, I think it's much different. Yeah. And I don't think I think the word faggot, when you're calling a kid a faggot who's gay, it's a horrible thing.
Yeah.
And it really is hurtful.
Yeah.
But when you try to remove it from the language, it's damaging. And there's a balance there. I think we go way out of balance with it.
Yeah.
But I think the intention of a lot of being politically correct is truthful, and I think a lot of it is, again, harboring and hiding secrets. Like, I don't like when people don't say the word black. People don't like to say the word black because they're afraid that it reveals how they feel about the word black.
Right.
Because black people say black.
I know.
Keith Robinson and Patrice, do they say, I'm an African American? They say, hey, look, black people feel...
Right.
Because they're not afraid of the word black because they don't mean it in a dirty way.
Right, exactly.
It is mostly uptight white people who are afraid that if they say black, the true feelings they have for that word will be exposed.
Right. They're afraid to say anything because they're not sure if they're revealing something deep inside.
They don't want something deep inside to be revealed.
Right.
And that to me is what PC, a lot of it is covering up for. It is a lot of times, like, I think there's a lot of deep-seated elitism. Yeah. And I fault mostly white people for that. They feel better and smarter than most minorities. Right. And they overcompensate and they behave in a parental fashion instead of looking at people as, hey, man, you're my equal in this fucking journey. Right. We're all going down the tubes together. Right. They feel the need to parent. And you never want to parent somebody
Good
you feel
for
equal
him.
to.
Look at that black guy with the briefcase.
Yeah, isn't he marvelous? He's well-spoken.
A well-spoken black man.
Do you not know
so nice
how elitist that is? Malcolm X hated that shit. Malcolm X, not to get on a racial rant, but he said he had more respect for the Southern racists because you'll always know where you stand with that guy. He bares his teeth at you.
Right.
Whereas the Northern, and you know.
Yeah, with a little smile.
Yeah.
Were you ever Were you picked on when you were a kid? Where did you stand in the social hierarchy of your
I had a
grade school?
A great mix of friends. I had black friends from the projects.
Where'd you grow up?
Punk rockers, North Brunswick, New Jersey, very white suburban area.
Right.
And punk rock. I had a very hardcore, weird mix of friends. I was very rarely picked on. I probably would have been beaten up. Wow, there's a great ass walking into a door right now. In like awful aqua green jeans, like fucking algae pants. Love to lick them off her. Does she love metal?
That's always
wonderful.
That's always that's always a treat when you can tell that they're not that bright. Also,
yeah, exactly. And they're wearing like a little fucking propeller hat, shitting themselves. That's a girl for me. But I grew up. I wasn't really picked on because I was funny, and I was always funny, and I think that protected me because nobody. The one way you can up a jock who wants to beat the shit out of you is to humiliate him verbally.
Right.
And none of them wanted to be made fun of.
Right.
So it was kind of an understanding you have. I won't humiliate you verbally if you don't beat the shit out of me like we all know you can do.
So you didn't feel kind of on the outside. You were.
Oh, I was yes, always on the outside. But
I
tried. I was like a chameleon. Believe me, I was like the white black guy before it was fashionable. I had the fat laces, the fucking Kango hats, talking with the ghetto slang as a suburban white nerd.
Were there black kids in your school?
Yeah, there were. They thought I was an asshole, and they were right. They were right. It was. But that's how I spotted in other people because I did it.
Why did you pick that group out to?
Because at that time that was seen as being a little rebellious and different.
Right.
And before that, it was doing this. It was like whatever you thought made you a rebel. Devil worship. I used to drink and cut myself. I was a cutter when I drank, and I would cut myself and sign oath to the devil and all this weird, crazy suburban white kid.
How old?
Maybe between 15 and 16, 14 in that area when it was rebellious, when like black metal, hardcore metal was coming out with devil lyrics in the early 80s.
Yeah.
It was like whatever was rebellious.
So at 15 to be doing that, were you, when you were younger, did you feel really on the outside? Did you feel like you were being...
Yeah, always.
I liked some guys that were into metal and stuff, but I never understood like the real like cutting and that kind of thing. It seemed like, well, those guys must have been kind of isolated and alone, was my perception.
I was more of an emo douche. Like, before emo was a thing, I was an attention seeker. Like, I'd love to give you a deeper reason than that. But it really was notice me. That's all comedy is.
Right.
Notice me.
Right.
I wanted to fucking spotlight on me, good, bad, or indifferent. And one of the ways I got it was by cutting myself and woe is me, my problems are terrible. And then it was by being funny, or it was by being whatever it is, it was all about notice me. I've just been a whore my whole life. All eyes on me.
Right.
That's what I fucking wanted. I wanted those fucking little eyeballs this away, please.
And I think that's part of what your fans really kind of relate to. They really see like themselves. They see like an average guy but it's almost like you take all these photos of celebrities and you carry your camera around on your belt.
Sure.
You're constantly taking pictures of people you run into. You're constantly getting autographs and memorabilia and all that stuff. And it's like, in a way, you're like a fan. You're in show business. You're a very well-known comedian, but you're also a fan. Like your fans are a fan of you. You know what I mean? It's almost, sometimes I look at you and I think, I wonder if he's just surprised that he came from New Jersey and now he's around these people and you just want to document it to prove to yourself.
It really is a big part of it. And I also don't know why. There's a hoarding aspect to it as well. It's an odd thing.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know, because I've taken a lot of photos and I've signed autographs. So I understand what that is. Which also, by the way, I understand when celebrities are being cocksuckers, and when there's a reason to be annoyed. I would never bother somebody when they're eating. People bother me when I'm eating. Right. Like this thing, and I know we're all different, but I don't do things that would annoy me. I'm very quick and to the point. Hey, I love your work. Thank you so much. And I go. Right. Because that never bothers me. Yeah. Someone takes a quick shot and they walk away. Thank you. I'm always good. When they start babbling, shut up. Right. So I never do that. Right. But I see myself, I really mean this, I see myself as most times a monumental failure. Like, I know I'm doing well intellectually. I could write out things I've accomplished. Sure. But I see myself as a failure. And whenever I'm around celebrities, I always feel like a fan, like they're not going to know me. And I was joking today on Opie and Anthony. It's like I'll take a picture with a guy who did one line in Beretta in '78 and be starstruck.
Right.
I've always had this. They're magic to me. These people. It
Yeah.
sounds corny.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I document it. Like, I was wondering, why do you hoard shit? Like, when I was a little kid, I was in love with a girl who, it was like my first puppy love.
Yeah.
And she moved away. I don't remember her name or any of that stuff. I only remember how I felt about her. I remember when she was moving, my mother told me, go down and say goodbye to her.
Right.
And I didn't. And I never saw her again. And I've always wondered who she was, what happened to her. I've never forgotten that girl.
Wow.
And I always wonder, like, you always hoard because of some weird thing that happened.
Yeah,
I never
yeah.
captured a moment with that person.
Interesting.
Is that what it is? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it goes back to something bizarre.
Yeah. It's funny. I wonder if that's why you don't have a girlfriend now.
Well, we just broke up. I mean, it's really...
You had a long one for a while there.
Yeah, 2.5 years.
I was like, wow, I think Jimmy might end up being with someone.
I'm not marriage material. We're actually
Do you
still...
have any part of you that thinks...
No.
None?
We're still friends. Like, it's odd with an ex. And will we ever get back together? It is possible because we still talk a lot. We're still really good friends.
Yeah.
I still really value her as a person. I still
Right.
have a lot of love for her.
Yeah.
Whereas usually with exes, you want to strangle them, and then 2 years later you talk.
Right.
She and I have never stopped talking.
Yeah.
And we're still very close. So I don't know where it will be.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
You don't see yourself, though, like being a dad or...
No.
Yeah.
No. And I don't hate those things.
Yeah.
But I'm selfish. I like what I like. My life is not geared for that. I think nature
Yeah.
puts that in us or doesn't put that in us, and I don't have that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll feel differently in a few years. I mean, for men, it's easier.
Yeah.
But I like dating women who are younger because women who are 25 don't have that fucking thing where they have to get knocked up and married. My girlfriend and I would argue. I'd be like, I'm so glad I never married you. Trying to hurt her. And she would go, you fucking think I want to marry you?
Right.
And I knew she meant it. That wasn't a comeback. That was
Right.
like, wow, I am delusional.
Right,
to think that she wants to saddle herself with fucking me and my Kiss fucking poster on the wall.
Right.
So, I'm not really marriage material.
Did your parents have a good marriage?
Yes, my father's sober since I'm 2 years old. So apparently they had a very violent marriage before I got married. Like, he's talked about trying to, run her over and
Really?
Yeah, when I was in the womb or whatever. Like,
Wow.
But 2 years old, he got sober and.
Was he drinking?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's an
Yeah.
alcoholic, and but he's obviously been sober since I'm 40 years now.
Wow.
And I've been sober for 24 years. So when I was 18, I got sober.
Right.
So I think in the beginning their marriage was probably very rocky.
But by the time you showed up...
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, I remember some fighting growing up. They would argue because my dad's a truck driver, and he was laid off in 1980 when there was a big. I don't know what happened at Halls. He worked for Halls.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get back on, so he was what they called shaping. He would go out for the day and try to get work. I mean, we really,
Wow.
my father hustled.
Really?
And so there was money fights.
Yeah.
But by and large, I mean, there was never any danger of a divorce that I knew of.
No?
No.
You felt like it was like a stable situation?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Not a perfect situation. I mean,
Right.
Oh, excuse me for yawning. I bore myself.
This is interesting.
But they were. I never thought, oh my God, they're going to break up and get divorced or any of that
Right.
stuff. And they're still together.
You have brothers and sisters?
I have a sister. I'm 42. She's 35. And
Right.
I have a nephew who is, I guess, 17 now.
Are you
My
close
si-
with her? With your sister?
I don't see her as often as I should.
Where is she?
She's in Central New Jersey. I'm detached a lot from my family, but it's not
Oh, yeah?
because I don't love them. I do love them.
Yeah, because I do get that sense from you that whenever, like, we've known each other for years. And
Yeah.
we're in the rhythms of the year with holidays and stuff like that.
Yes.
And I always kind of picture you as not being into a family so
Right.
much, like going back for every holiday and stuff.
No.
But then you'll be like, yeah, I'm going to go see my parents for Christmas or whatever. And I'll be like, I'm always surprised when there's a moment of you doing something normal in a family way.
Well, also, none of my act revolves around my family.
Yeah.
None of my act is
Nothing.
about my family.
Nothing.
And again, as I grew up in the earlier parts, it did. But I lived at home till I was 30, and that's a part of it too. It's like, look, you've seen me enough. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Do they crave seeing you?
They love it. Yeah, they love coming to my shows and stuff. And I was 7 years
do?
in the business before I allowed them.
Really?
I just didn't want those cheap laughs that Ralph Garcia got in Fame. Do you remember that when all his friends laughed and clapped?
Yeah.
And I was 7 years in before my parents saw
Wow.
my act. But I think it's
Wow.
a sense of shame. Like, I love them, but my sense of shame and self-hatred has nothing to do with them. It's about me.
Are they proud of you?
Oh, very.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're very happy that I'm sober, I'm not drinking and not getting high.
Right.
They're very supportive. Like, I didn't have
Yeah.
the pained artist family. I had a good family
Yeah.
who was happy when I'm succeeding, and they are supportive of what I do and on the Tonight Show. And they're like, we loved what you did. You know,
Oh, that's cool.
That was a great thing for me. A lot of guys don't have that.
Yeah, no, I know. Most of them don't.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. No, mine's the same way. Like if I'm performing within like 200 miles of my
They wanna
father,
come, right?
Yeah, he comes, right, exactly.
I'm always
And it's
embarrassed
great.
when extended family comes, though, and they see what a pig I've turned into. You know, it's like, how many tranny stories can fucking my cousin hear? He hasn't seen me since 11. And I always feel embarrassed for them when they have to come and watch the fucking dirtbag that I am.
You're listening to Come to Papa on Raw Dog Channel 99, and I'm here with my good pal, Jim Norton.
Yes.
The tranny thing.
Sure.
I never understood the tranny thing.
Oh,
is it a
Tom.
gay thing, or is it a gay thing?
No.
It's
Absolutely
is
not.
it just a way that you can say that you're not into the gay thing?
No. If I was gay, I would tell people.
But like, why? But there's a penis involved.
Oh, allegedly. Who knows what's happening there? You know what I mean?
So you don't do anything to them?
Oh, what would I do to them, Tom? I mean, it would be selfish of me not to, of course. But no, a gay thing. You know, if I wanted to be with men, I'd be with men. I mean,
Right.
I'm pretty open-minded sexually, and
But it's that penis part that
it's deviance.
It's-
It's deviance.
Right.
It's like you know, it's about when you've done so many things sexually. And I've been sexually active since I was in second grade.
Right.
I didn't have intercourse till I was 18.
Right.
But after a while, it's like, all right, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. All right, we'll do this. And I'm not going to let a dog lick my balls. All right, you in the wig, get over here. You know, it's
so it's just that you've run out of other.
you run out of options. It's like, you know, I mean, after a while, you get tired of eating chocolate cake, too. Then you move on to fucking blueberry muffins. That's the way it is. You know what I mean? I'm a fucking pervert. I'm a pervert for real. But I'm not a victimizer. That's one thing I'm not.
Right.
I don't like to victimize women. I'm not saying I can't be dominant or spank them or even slap them if they want that.
Right.
But I'm not into victimizing people.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not into predatory shit.
Right.
I despise predators.
Yeah.
There's a bullying aspect to that which I hate.
Right.
So that's one thing I don't
Right.
get into. I'm just
I remember that
weird.
there was that story that Colin told of his friend, and they were you've heard the story, I'm sure, that him and his friends were at a bar, and there was a guy, one of his friends was hitting on this girl, and the other friends are like, I don't think it's a girl, and they're like, no, it's definitely a dude, and they look up and the friend's making out with him, and they tapped him on the shoulder and said, dude, you're with a dude, that's a guy, and he just turned and said, it's too late.
You know, I remember I got a blowjob in New Brunswick when I first started getting prostitutes.
A blowjob in New Brunswick is such a funny. That
Yeah.
should be the name of your next
Sounds
album.
like a great Woody Allen film.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson.
In a blowjob in New Brunswick.
And I used to cruise Commercial Avenue, Remsen Avenue, George Street, really shit ghetto areas for prostitutes.
Wow.
And I didn't know. I would always feel for breasts because I knew that men would do it. I really would check and make sure they had breasts. I wasn't aware that they were getting implants or hormones. I really didn't know.
Right.
And I was getting a blowjob, and I used to do this in my act, but it's the truth. And I'm rubbing the girl's blowing me, and I'm rubbing her back, and there was a sheen of sweat coming through the shirt, and my instinct knew that this was a man. And I just the thought I had, and I've said it before, was, wow, this is a large back for a girl. And I just knew that it was a male, and I lost my erection. And I was
really?
like, yeah, let's stop. And then I was driving her. I say her out of respect. Driving her back, and I'm like, do you consider yourself like gay? And it's like, no, I'm just who I am. And I was like, okay, good night. I wasn't angry,
Right.
but I wasn't turned on either.
I'm just who I am. That's interesting.
But the make out with a transsexual, when I hosted the Porn Awards in 2003, or January of 04 for the 03, I hosted with Janet Jameson.
Right.
And I was on the floor of the expo, and there was a pretty famous tranny porn star who was kissing everybody. Like she was hugging everybody. I have a photo of her grabbing my dick with my jeans on.
Right.
And I asked her to be my date for the abort because I'm like, she's great. Like she's a fucking maniac, and it will be very funny to walk down the red carpet and pretend I don't know.
Right.
But she got arrested for blowing a guy in the men's room of the expo. The Vegas police arrested her, and I'm like, what a fucking trooper! I would have got a blowjob out of this. So I went dateless. But there is video of a very famous boxer making out with her.
Really?
On the floor of the expo, not realizing it was a young lady or kissing her.
Really?
Yes. And I won't say the name of the boxer, but I will tell you off air who it was.
Oh, really?
It's a boxer who really wouldn't have been happy.
Secret message received.
But she also told me of a very famous rock and roll star who tried to lure her
really
up to his room and fuck her. So
wow,
yeah, she's a good one.
And is there just
very passable.
Is there just a suspension of belief that it's a guy when you know it's a guy?
Well, I
or
feel
you feel like there's,
as I've said, Tom, my way of looking at it was this: I'm an American,
right?
And if I go to Europe, it doesn't make me a European. I'm just an American who went over to Europe and enjoyed it a lot more than he thought he would. That was the way I had phrased it in my act at one point. You're not a European until you say you're a European. So I'm still an American. And my love is always women. You know, I like odd things. I like things on women that you're not supposed to. Like I love a woman. Like I like when they stink a little bit under the arms. Not gross, like a natural smell. I like big pussy lips. I like giant clits. People say it's like a dick. It's like that's really not. It's a feminine quality. I love giving head to women. Like I love women. That's my thing. I love women.
Yes, I know you do.
And I crave weird shit on their bodies.
And they love you. I always love when you walk in with another girl or a girl comes up to you because you just look at her and you just, you're like, wow, I wouldn't think. She looks so normal. She looks like she wouldn't be so dirty. But you know when you're walking out with, arm in arm with her that she's really filthy.
She better be, yeah. Or she's going to be in for a rude awakening.
Have you ever had to meet some girl's parents? Did you ever do that in your life? Like have a, hello, Mr. Johnson?
I have. Well, let's say parents. Like any woman who would fuck me has two parents that are still together. Together? No, I haven't.
So you've never had to show up for Thanksgiving and
I have a few
sit
times.
at the table?
Like my ex, she doesn't talk to her dad, but I met her mom. Her mom was great.
Right.
My ex before that, I met both of her parents separately, and I like them both very much.
They're all separately.
All separately.
It's so funny.
I've met a couple of parents for Thanksgiving, and the parents typically didn't like me. One, because I was 29 and she was 19, and they thought I was too old for her, and they were right. I mean, but I really loved this girl. This is 10 years ago, obviously 12 years ago. Yeah. But I really did love her very much.
Yeah.
Her parents just probably felt that I was too old for her.
Right.
So they never liked me. But again, I kind of understood why.
Right.
As I get older now, I'm like, they were just looking out for her.
Yeah.
But I'm good with parents, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. I'm respectful. I'm not, you've seen me around your wife and your kids. Like, I'm not a dickhead. I'm not that guy around families.
No,
and I know your wife as a comedian, as a friend.
Right.
But even people, like when your parents...
Yeah, like when you meet my parents. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I'm yes sir, no sir.
Yeah, they walk away with like an impression. Like,
you
got to
be respectful. It's not you're not being real by being disrespectful to somebody's fucking parents or being an asshole in front of somebody's parents.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. I have always been with the girls who have had both parents.
Yeah, well, you're a nice guy.
And on the second date, you have to come and shake his hand and look him in the eye and hello, Mr. Johnson.
Well, the thing about you, and this is the beautiful thing about Tom. Tom is such a piece of shit, and nobody knows it. Like the comedians all know that Tom is shitty, but he's the nicest guy on earth. And
I have good smiley skills.
But amazing how Tom has gotten more people fired in this business.
It's not true.
And we all laugh about it. Like a waitress will come over who doesn't do good, and Tom is just like will say to like you're like, wow, that's well, I guess she likes the table messy. And boy, a week later she's gone. Keith wouldn't even say it. Patrice wouldn't even say it. But Tom has a way of saying it where the owner's like, yeah, she's right. This bitch is terrible.
I just have a high standard.
You do
for certain things.
Yeah, you really do. And you and Seinfeld must be a very interesting match because I've said also that I've always liked Jerry because there's an honesty to him that is uncomfortable but refreshing.
Yes,
like I've
it's
talked to
honest.
him, and whenever I've spoken to him, I never felt like he's being polite.
No.
He doesn't talk to you if he doesn't want to talk to you. And I
right.
kind of admire that quality and wish I had it because I'm
Yeah.
fucking. Please like me. I'm a worm, and I'll talk to people I don't want to talk to.
Which is very interesting because I am too. I'm very fake laugh and make everyone feel comfortable and like me, like you just said. But on stage, you're not that. On stage, you aren't. You don't have that thing of like me. A little bit, because.
Yeah, I want them to relate to me, and my ultimate goal is to make them laugh.
Right. But you are daring, and you'll. And put stuff out there that you know may offend them or lose them.
Yeah. And I almost feel as a comedian, like, not that we have to purposely offend them.
Yeah.
But by the nature of the job, if I'm speaking my mind, it's going to offend people on some level.
Right.
For whatever reason.
Right.
So I don't ever set out to offend them, but I'm never upset when I do.
Right.
But I do want them to laugh. To me,
Yeah.
the goal is not to shock them because I don't think I'm being shocking. The
Right.
goal to me is to get them to laugh at ideas that they don't agree with or to see things a different way.
Right.
It sounds corny. But I never preach to the audience either.
Right.
You have to be funny.
Right.
A lot of comedians get caught up in being self-righteous and holier than
Yes.
thou. I don't need to convince them that I'm right. I'm admitting
Right.
I'm wrong half the time, like all you dumb motherfuckers.
Right.
I don't need to be right. I
Right.
only have to be honest. And there's a huge difference
Yeah.
that a lot of comics forget. Be honest. You don't have to be right.
Right.
I was wrong about the war in Iraq. I wanted the war in Iraq, and I was on Tough Crowd, and we defended Bush, and we smashed a lot of people.
Yeah.
But looking back, my opinion of that was not the opinion I would take today.
Right.
I feel I was wrong
Yeah.
back then.
Right.
So I'm wrong half the time.
And so your thing, again, you can tell certain comics are trying to just. It's like they're trying to say something before being funny.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it seems like you are funny, and then if you want to say something, if it hits on topics that actually have some depth to it or whatever, that just kind of happens. Or are you conscious of trying to say something?
A little bit of both. Like, you try to weave it in and out. You try
Yeah.
to. I don't make a lot of serious statements. Once in a while, I'll set a joke. I mean, you have to have setups.
Yeah.
But talking about language or whatever, I'll set something. Sometimes I'll make a statement that sets something up.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I just have to be funny.
Right.
So I make a conscious-
Go ahead. Yeah.
The point I'm making of, like when I talk about Bin Laden and releasing those photos.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is I'm sick and tired of people thinking for me and what I can handle.
Right.
I'm sick of Islam and Islamic extremists.
Right.
Let's not show them that because they might get angry.
Right.
And I want to see those pictures, and I'm sick of this phony fucking way people feel like we have to take the high road. I'm
Right.
tired of that shit.
Right.
We stop trying to take the high road, Americans, but I have to make that funny. So how do I make
Right.
that point funny?
So in that instance, the point is the thing, and then you're trying to bring the funny into it.
I make it funny.
Right.
And I kind of make the point without saying that's the point.
Right.
I say I'm sick of Americans feeling like we need to take the high road.
Right.
Sometimes you just want something you want to see it, you don't need to. And then I
Yeah.
give a dumb example about if there's a girl sucking dicks in the alley, you don't need to see that. You want to see that. And it gets a laugh, but it's the same point as I just made earlier.
Right.
Stop pretending you need to see something when you really want to see something.
Right.
Because that same bullshit dishonesty
Yeah.
is the same thing they will use to fuck me over for saying something inappropriate.
Right.
So it's
Right.
like, I hate all that double standard shit.
Yep.
They all scream about Mel Gibson's. Really? Mel Gibson can't be in The Hangover too?
Right.
Fucking Tyson was in it.
I know.
He went to jail for rape.
Right.
And again, I love Mike Tyson, but
Yeah.
let's call it like it is.
Yeah.
It's
What-
this selective morality.
One last thing
Sure.
I want to kind of touch on with you. You know, when we were at the club the other night, and I said, "Are you doing any wiener stuff?" And you said, "Well, I have to." And it really struck me as a cool statement because and you probably don't even think about it this way, but a lot of comics don't have to, and you are you're very relevant. Like whenever the Mel
you.
Gibson thing was happening, you're all over it. The Bin Laden happened, whatever it is. And there's two parts of this that I want to kind of touch on. One is the radio show done a lot for your act that way because every day you're sitting there dealing with topics? And second, when you deal with such topical stuff, you have to constantly crank stuff up. Like the Mel Gibson thing almost is done now because you can use him as a reference, but it's not going to have that potency because it's not as fresh. And do you worry about that? Good
point on the radio show, too. It's the first thing I thought of when you said it. The advantage to the radio has hurt me as far as like, will I write a book? Hard to say because I'm getting it out. I'm vomiting it on the radio.
Yeah.
But it does make you constantly talk about new things and constantly aware. So I took myself off the road. I've been on the road for a while. I wanted to work on new material. And I just go on at the cellar with kind of a thought and I work on stuff. But the way it does hurt you is it forces you to be topical and it forces you to think. But it does, the topical stuff loses its luster, for lack of a cornier term, in a short period of time. So what I've done with stuff like Tiger Woods, I'll still talk about Tiger Woods, and I'll still talk about Mel Gibson. But the way I do it is you chop out the stuff that has to be time sensitive.
Right.
And I use it in this... I tied it in with the airport searches where the rage I felt at Americans for sniveling about their privacy. And it's like, where were you motherfuckers and your privacy advocate bullshit when Tiger Woods' personal life was being kicked all over the front page, or Mel Gibson's personal life, or now it's going to be Anthony. So there's always a way to tie it in with this theme of you phonies.
Right.
The phoniness of the outrage of Imus drove me crazy.
Right.
And the phoniness over everybody protecting their own little piece of privacy when Americans have proven we are voyeuristic junkies and we love nothing more than to watch your private life and your private phone calls get kicked all over the fucking internet. So stop crying privacy. So maybe I'll do a little...
So you put it into a larger context and that can stick around forever.
And the majority of the Mel Gibson stuff has been scrapped. The majority of the Tiger Woods stuff has been scrapped. I'll maybe do 15% of what I was doing. A couple of the lines that still hold up and are really funny because they don't need to be topical.
Gotcha.
So you keep a little bit.
That's another thing when you said you go up on stage with a thought and you'll go up on at the cellar. I don't see you pull pieces of paper out of your pocket.
I will do that once in a while, but I don't really work well that way.
You don't write it at. You don't actually write.
No, and it's only because I'm on stage almost every night.
Right.
So it's like by repetition, and again on the radio, sometimes you got to switch things up. Like I was talking about Bin Laden, and I'll wrap it up quickly. I was starting with
take your time.
They killed Bin Laden. I want to see the photos, and then it went into. The thing about how his living conditions were not as good, and I made fun of his apartment and how he was happy to be shot, and then I go into the porn on his computer and segue that into dirty stuff. But it wasn't working from the prostitution segment that I was talking about, so I just reversed it. It was like I started talking about they found porn, and then you kind of go backwards a little bit, and then you tie it into the sexual stuff. So there's always a way to switch it around and flop it around and make it flow and topical. Does that make any sense? Like, you just can't stay married to it a certain way.
It's interesting because I don't work that way. Like I'll have a thought and I'll put it up on stage, but then I always take a pen to paper.
Right.
And I'll kind of organize, like just what you're saying there. It's like I almost can't keep track of it in flopping it around and stuff. It's like I like to see it. I like to put it down and see it and play around with it and move things. And so it's always interesting when and I just realized when I was thinking about doing this interview, I was like, I'm always sitting in the hallway at the club with a piece of paper and like trying to remember my thoughts, and I never see you pulling out. I'm like, he's got that little crazy brain is doing him right.
But I do write down sometimes, and I like Colin will go on stage. And I think Colin's a comic genius, and he'll go on stage with a paper or a tell, another comic genius. So I have nothing against that.
Oh, no.
And I don't mind doing that.
Yeah.
But I get married to it once it's like that.
Yeah.
And that was why I finally...
That's interesting.
It's harder for me to do it like that. But sometimes it hurts me, too, because I lose a lot of good thoughts. And when you lose structure... Sometimes it's hurt me because I'll just go with the parts that get the big laughs. And when I'm doing the bit about Arnold and he's fucking this fat lady, like I've lost a couple of the more subtle lines because I'm afraid of not getting the laugh.
Right.
So I want to go for the laughs.
Right.
So there's times where it's kind of worked against me as well.
It's interesting, and I really believe that you should kind of try and vary up the way that you do work because. Like I'm the same thing. We're both at the cellar right now all the time, just trying to come up with new stuff. And I was just. I was like, let me just open things up and not be beholden to all the lines. And it's a different way to work. And I was completely, but it's good. It's good to kind of work that other muscle. You know what I mean? It's like you like you said, you be a slave to it. It's like there was a time when I was only writing on a laptop. I was like, no, I have just get a piece of paper or just talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you can't you can get in these little. It's almost like a baseball player that has to
Sure.
like do all these
A
different things.
ritualistic trap.
Right, exactly.
And what happens when you get in that is you miss a lot of good stuff. But the balance is, like anything else, it does help organize, and you grab thoughts that you might have lost.
Right.
So there is an advantage to it. Like I tape every set with a flip cam.
Yep.
Sometimes I watch them, sometimes I don't.
Right.
But I know I'm taping it, so there's a freedom on stage I have, because like whatever it is, I got it.
Yeah.
It's on the flip
That's
cam.
right.
I have it. I'm not going to riff and do 5 minutes that I love that I'm going to forget about.
Right.
But you talk about your family a lot, like, you know, but that's true to what your life is, because you have
Right.
2 children, you have a wife, and it's like you see the in-laws, and it's like you're being very truthful, because that is exactly what your experience is.
Right.
And if I talked about that stuff, it wouldn't be truthful. I would be speculating.
Right.
And I kind of wish I had more family stuff, because it like the stuff you do isn't cutesy. It kills really hard. It kills as hard as anybody working.
Right.
Like there's nobody going up there doing topical or dirty stuff that's killing harder than what you're killing with
Right.
with your clean family stuff.
Right.
So I think that's my point. All a comedian should do is just be truthful to who they are.
Yeah.
Like Jerry. Jerry never fucking curses.
Right.
He's very organized on stage.
Yeah.
But I've watched him before, and he said really funny shit.
I know.
He did a bit about the fucking jumping up and down and like trying to knock the wine off. He's like, just stop jumping up and down and go to bed.
Right.
Or whatever it was. I'm like, you funny motherfucker. That was fucking hilarious.
I know.
Like when he finds something, it is really fucking good.
I know.
So there's a method. There's
Yeah.
a method to that that's genius as well.
There is, and it's so great, and that's why I'm loving doing the show, is talking to these, especially all the people that I really respect, like yourself.
Thank you.
Because there's so many, there's all different roads to kind of get there. But the one undercurrent that I'm finding is that the really good ones, it's just really honest. It's nothing fabricated,
Right.
And if that honesty. There's a vulnerability. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to even pontificate and try and figure out exactly what it is. But the undercurrent is that honesty makes great comedy.
I think it taps into something, because I don't even know what a laugh is. When you think about it, what exactly, like, here's what it is. A bunch of people have showed up to a room to have an emotion pulled out of them.
Right.
And this is what they do. Like, I don't even know what a laugh is.
I know.
It's an involuntary reaction to something that is what? Relatable, or is it shocking?
Right.
Or is it new? Like,
Right.
what is it that causes that involuntary reaction? Like, I have no fucking idea. I've never heard it.
I know.
Explained.
You'll spend your whole life trying to figure it out, and I really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, man. I was
really
happy
great.
you asked. Someone said Tom wants to talk to us. Yeah, I would love to.
No, it's great, and hopefully we'll do it again.
We're the last 2 people, by the way. Our acts are so different. We're the last 2 people that anybody would think really enjoy each other. But it's very truthful. I really do. I like Tom's stuff. I tremendously admire it. So
No, and
thanks, man.
I'm a huge fan of yours too, and hopefully we'll do it again.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jimmy.